Hey everybody, it's that time again here at the beginning of August where we're getting excited and getting ready to go back into work, or maybe you're not excited about it, but either way, it's happening. So I thought I would go ahead and just do a quick video about my number one tip for behavior management, classroom management, that I think is really important for that first day and especially that first week that we're heading back into work here. So what is that tip? Front load your expectations. What exactly does that mean? So front load, just put them up at the front. Make it one of the very first things that you spend a good amount of time talking about during that first week of school. So what I like to do, the process that I like to do is, that first week, sit down and do it in a circle with your students and let them be a part of the development process. Sure, you've got ideas about what you want for your classroom expectations, but let your students sort of take part in that. You can do that with three really simple guiding questions. How do you want to be treated? How do you think I, as your teacher, want to be treated? And then how do we want to treat each other? Out of that conversation, you should get some things that fall pretty nicely into the be safe, be respectful, be responsible sort of model. And then you're going to want to take that, now that you've developed it with your students, they're going to have a lot more buy-in. They're going to have a little bit more ownership over it, because once those things are talked about and then you take them and you post them up in your classroom, your students are going to remember, oh yeah, that's something that we agreed to do. So once you get those things, once you get your expectations, what do you do from there? You need to teach, reteach, and model. So teaching. If, let's just say, for example, that as the group you guys decide, you and your students decide, you don't want to be interrupted when you're talking. If the teacher is talking, no one else should be talking, and if a student has the floor, no one else should be interrupting that student. So you decide you're going to raise your hand if you have a comment that you want to make. Okay, we'll give the students some opportunities to practice doing that. That's the teaching part. Reteaching happens after you have a break, even a 3-day weekend, but especially after you have like a long week or a 2-week break. People fall back into their old habits, they forget, they kind of just go back to their comfort zone. Students don't have often as high expectations at home as they do at school, so when they come back, we need to just have a little bit of a refresher session. Then modeling it, you as the adult. If you and the students agree that you're going to have respect, then we as the adult have to show the students the respect that we want. Even if we've had a really bad morning, even if we got stuck in traffic and we were late to work and we just had a horrible class, a horrible third period before our fourth period came in, we've still got to give our fourth period respect. So now we've got teach, reteach, and model it. Okay, we did that. We want to post those expectations and we want to refer back to them frequently. So your expectations are really not going to do you much good if they're invisible, so they need to be posted somewhere that students can see them, and posted somewhere where you can refer to them and interact with them, sort of like a living document. The other really good thing about that is that it depersonalizes corrective actions. So it's great if somebody's doing something that they should be doing, then yeah, refer back to your expectations and say, oh yeah, thanks, thanks for showing respect. Remember, that's something that we agreed that we were all going to do for each other. Then there's somebody who's doing something that maybe they shouldn't be doing. Well, you can then refer back to your expectations, and it's depersonalizing it. You're not necessarily calling that kid out on the floor in front of all of his classmates. You're just referring something to something that you've all already agreed on. And I can tell you, students are a lot less likely to argue with a piece of paper on the wall than they are to argue with you personally. You give them the floor and you want to have that power struggle and that back and forth, they'll do that all day. But they're a lot less likely to argue with that piece of paper on the wall. So front load those expectations, teach them, reteach them, model them, and then post them and refer to them as frequently as you possibly can. That's my advice. That's my number one tip, so that you can get started off on having a really awesome school year. I promise you, you're going to buy yourself a lot of time, save a lot of time down the line if you just hit those expectations really hard that first week of school. I hope it goes great for you. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what you're seeing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.